black people, and that is why then we are basically making up for a past wrong. And I guess this kind of goes into what we were saying a second ago about redlining. It was somewhat on a local level. There were local levels, state levels, but there was also federal segregation that played a huge role as well. For example, the Federal Housing Administration subsidized builders so long as they would only sell those houses to white people. So there was definitely some pretty blatant racism on the books that's been depicted here. So
I'm not gonna.
I mean, maybe we could look at that direction, but yeah, like if it's across the board, that would be ridiculous.
But would we also agree
11:30 and see how it goes?
That a broad transfer of money to black people now?
11:30 is like.
Even if some of us would like
I
it.
won't be mad if people are leaving at 11:30.
Also,
I'll
there's a
probably
little
100%
racist.
be
Even if there's a
before that. I don't know
justification
if you guys
for
want
doing
me then.
so,
Oh,
that
that's fine.
to poor white people.
No, I think
It's just the idea that like because of why you're poor.
So.
No. Wait. This is why it's so important. Wait, this is why you have to have my perspective. Any other perspective?
You want to come and just see a couple
bosses?
I don't have to have your
perspective.
If you want to make the argument, it does. It can't be because of race. It can't be because of past wrongs.
Gear
It has to
score
be because
does
a specific agreement was broken. If you get reparations or whatever, it's not because you were a slave, and it's not because you had a bad history because of slavery. It's because the government made a deal with you and went back on it. They broke it. That's the only way you can do it. Yeah.
To the poor.
Wait, is that what they did to? Is that what they did in Germany with the reparations to Jews?
Yeah, dude.
No, Japanese Americans, right? During
Get some
the World War, right?
suffering tomorrow at work.
There were reparations paid. Well, I mean, I guess you don't have the right to be seized without proper investigation, right? But those people were given reparations due to what happened during the World War, right?
Let's go.
Holy shit, we're about to get carried.
I think that was a little different though because they were able to solve it like immediately. Like if the federal government is something bad like right now, and we want to talk about kind of reparations, that's fine. But when we talk about reparations for slavery,
That is how it's gonna go.
If black people were richer than white people,
yes, you would still be paid back.
Actually rating? Yes, we are actually.
would you? No. We'd be having this conversation.
You probably wouldn't be having the conversation, but you should still be paid back.
Okay,
we can't
okay, so to some extent, even though you can come up with a justification,
Not only is Bose here, but he's
to some
tanking.
extent, it is an attempt to remedy the plight of the black man.
No,
today.
it's not. I've never said that. We're not.
I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm not saying you're saying that.
It's late. I can't do it
If
now.
black people were really rich, we wouldn't be talking about giving them reparations.
True. That's why I'm saying those are dog shit arguments. If you're making that type of an argument, then you're.
I'm not making an argument.
I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying you're attacking an argument that no one else is making because it's a dog shit argument. If you're trying to, you keep saying like,
no, I'm
oh,
not
like you
attacking
can't.
the argument. I'm
But then why even bring it up?
Because while you are making a compelling argument for reparations, you are smuggling in why we're even talking about the reparations in the first place.
I'm not smuggling that in. It's part of the conversation. If you want to ask
Well,
the whole
it's-
panel,
yeah,
is
but-
anybody here in favor of just paying black people back because they were wronged without like any extra like qualification? Besides
No,
gambit.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that as the representative, the sole defender of the white man on the fucking panel now, I want to point out that the only reason we're talking about reparations for black people is because we're trying to find a justifiable reason to transfer money to black people and not white people that makes sense. And while you are very good at articulating and coming up with those justifications, the task at hand is how can we give these poor black people some money and have it like not piss off white people too much? I don't think there's an answer to that question because it will and probably should piss off poor white people. I think if we want to give poor.
If we're taking Destiny's approach, maybe, well, this isn't exactly Destiny's approach because Destiny, you said if it was a promise that we then went back on, there are a lot of places where we might actually be in favor of reparations where there was never actually a promise made that they then went back on.
Exactly.
It could just be like something with redlining, which deliberately was an effort by the federal government that we have on the books, which showed that they were purposely trying to further segregate America.
Yeah, I understand, but the problem is that it's shitty, but like we're a democracy. If that's what we decided at the time was fine, then I mean, like if we were to go back and we were to redo every single or pay somebody back for every single unfair law or whatever, I don't know, like Native Americans would be impacted, probably Asian Americans would be impacted, Irish.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that if we were going to take the approach of something like, for example, redlining, and we were simply going to say, here is a policy that disproportionately fucked over black people, I don't think it should just be black people that get reparations. I think it should be, if we're going to go that route, it should also apply to white people who were fucked over by redlining also, because white people were screwed over by redlining as well, just not to the same degree.
Yeah, just not disproportionate. Yeah.
It shouldn't be on the basis of race, no matter
there's
what.
nobody. But Hunter,
Cindy,
there's
you
nobody.
don't agree with any of the reparations that we paid to Native Americans? A lot of it was due to just
Did we
fucking over
pay
Native
reparations
Americans.
to Native Americans, or did we just finally give them some land to set their shit up on?
That's a
Yeah, I
form
thought
of
it was just
reparations too.
reservations.
Reparations doesn't necessarily mean money. But that's
So-
a form of reparations as well. There's multiple reparations that we not saying that we've given enough for somebody to try to clip out of context. Blah blah blah. I don't want to get in that argument, but we have given Native Americans things because of historic wrongs that have happened that aren't due to
Stinky.
broken promises.
Yeah,
Stop
so
it.
when you start
You're
getting into
being
like U.S.
lame.
policies, I
Okay.
don't even know how you would even start to get into like who caused what.
And that's
wrong
very
for what reason.
insensitive.
It just seems like it would be so hard.
I don't appreciate
You
you.
can empathize with. You can agree with the idea that there can be a historic wrong that
bullying.
happened that wasn't due to like some
You
sort of
big meanie.
financial agreement that in which we should pay reparations, right?
That's the hard one, like, because there were probably genuinely, this is the most racist conservative talking point, but there were generally probably some black people that wouldn't have qualified for a loan or wouldn't have qualified for a mortgage in some areas, right? But so like, how do you begin to make the determination of like, well, who got racially affected by
That's
redlining?
what we get a committee together for, a Senate committee together for, and they figure it out. But I'm saying you can agree with the idea that you can do a wrong to a certain demographic of people, and you could give reparations just because a wrong was done, not necessarily due to a financial transaction that you didn't uphold, right? You agree with that, right?
I don't know.
But like, there's nobody.
I don't know. I
there's
think.
nobody-
Wait. Okay, I think.
We have a grievance panel, dog. Just letting y'all know who winning the reparation. But go ahead. I'll stay here.
This whole kind of concern. I don't know about the concern about like, so if we give like reparations out too broad, they might go to people who didn't really have them coming. But I guess that's kind of like saying like, should we really like impose sanctions on this nation because it might affect people who live in that nation who have nothing to do with what that nation's guilty of doing. So, but I think that's the point of like it's never going to be like this perfectly clean thing.
Yeah.
But I think an example of it succeeding would be like Germany, right? Because I wish I could remember, but I think in Germany they didn't. It wasn't just Holocaust survivors who got reparations. It was Jewish organizations that were started after the Holocaust, and it was also about like monuments and memorials and museums, and like they built those stepping stones. So like outside every house of every Jew that died, there's like a stone that has like where they were born, where they died, what their name was. But as far as I know, that was quite successful, wasn't it? Because like the anti-Semitism is not.
but
like,
when
even
did
compared
they
to
do that? Yeah, but that we're talking about the proximity to.
They're still doing this like to this day. I think it's been
There's
it's
no
up to like $100 billion
think it's
now.
exactly the right group of people to pay back, right? We all agree that there's going to be some inefficiency in selection, and there will be a group of people who may not have
Never
deserved it or
once-
get it, but because we feel like we're correcting a wrong, that's why we go on that endeavor, right? Like it's
Never once
gonna
done
be the
this
case
raid.
that,
Let's do
we found
it.
the names of the 57 people we need to give reparations to, and it's only them, and we did it through all of this analysis, right? There's going to be some broad, in some ways, there's going to be inefficiency or broadening, whereas we give to a group, and it may be that some of them didn't deserve it, right? We never split hairs like this in reparations.
That's not my problem with it though.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of black people who didn't like. I don't
I'm
care
afraid
about
of
that.
black people.
Well, sure.
My question is like,
especially today.
if we start to do like really broad reparations to just anybody who kind of qualifies being black, like at what point is it justified? Well, at what point is it justified for me to do blackface? Like maybe I'm.
No, wait, hold on. It wouldn't be to black people.
Got...
We're not talking about black people right now for reparations. It would be for African Americans. It'd be descendants.
Well, I just mean on a broad. If we were going to go for the direction of broad.
Here's my problem with reparations. My problem is that it just seems like a rationalization for giving money to black people.
Do you think the same about reparations to Jews? And
I just wanted to do blackface. I'm sorry.
I don't think the same thing about reparations to Jews who are actually Holocaust survivors. No, and I think that reparations should have been paid to black people after they were freed. I would definitely agree with that. But I think now, if in 200 years, a bunch of Jews are like, we should get some money from the German government. We should get money from the German government. Then we didn't get our money. They didn't pay enough reparations, and I traced back my family, and you know what? I found out this was stolen. I have an itemized list of like things that were stolen from my great grandmother, and I want my money back. Then I would say,
Okay, yeah, but I don't think anyone's saying that.
I want to make sure you understand this, Mr. Girl. Most people aren't arguing the position that you're arguing against right now. Most people.
Let me explain my position because I don't think I'm getting it across correctly.
Okay. Cool.
I understand that there is a sound, logical chain that you can follow to justify reparations, and that it makes sense and it's full of good arguments that are inarguable, and that you can come up with good analogies for all of them. My problem is, why are we making the arguments, and why is the question being asked in the first place? I don't think anybody is looking through Hunter's lineage to go back and find out if some government and some place screwed over his family and if he should get a check for some reason. And I don't think he cares about that. So so while you can come up with a justification for it that is sensible and makes sense and sounds like good policy, my problem with it is that I don't think we're really talking about why we're even trying to come up with that justification. And it seems like the answer is because black people are poor on average, poorer than white people. We're trying to give them money. And if black people weren't poor on average, I think we've all conceded that we wouldn't even be trying to figure out a way to transfer the money.
Yeah, so I can help you there. I can help you there. If Hunter had a big enough family that was a big enough demographic in our country, and we could trace the wrong that you just talked about to Hunter's family that's probably still living or something, we would agree with reparations for that group of people, right? So I think the problem is
I wouldn't. No, at a certain point, I'm like you. What every fucking person in the country can or every person on Earth can come up with some wrong that was done to their ancestors by a government, and then
honor all. Yeah, you said ancestors, right? You continually switch the context to
keep in mind that we do some form of reparations. Conservatives will not hear one word of complaining
I'm trying to make a meta. I'm trying to explain my problem. My problem with the argument has nothing to do with the content. Wait, will you just let me? Will you? Dick, make him stop.
Go ahead.
Please.
He's laughing.
Please.
Go.
Wait, okay, wait, wait. Can I do this for 2 seconds? Because hold on, we're arguing so much about nothing. We're arguing about so much about nothing. Okay, we all agree, Mr. Girl. Everybody agrees with you. The only reason we're having this conversation is because black people are really poor today, and it seems like one of the reasons why is because of systemic injustice that happened in the past. But if they weren't poor today, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We all agree with that.
Okay. Great.
Yes.
So this is the ball of arguments that make up why we should do reparations. Yeah, I'm gonna explain it again. This is the ball of arguments. Everything within this ball is why we should give black people reparations. And or how, I guess the rationalization for it. I'm trying to make a meta argument of like, well, why do we have a fallout? And Stephen, as you just said, it's because black people are poor, we want to give money to them. Every time I make a meta argument,
doesn't seem broken.
Every time I make a meta argument,
doesn't really seem broken, guys. I'll be honest.
Dives back into the ball and starts making internal
arguments. Completely frank, guys. Looks kind of like.
So stop doing that. And engage with the meta, because the meta is the problem. The meta is the reason that white people have grievance about reparations for black people. You're just trying to give money to black people. You have all this mental gymnastics you can do to show why it's okay. But at the end of the day, you're going to give money to poor black people and not to poor white people. And I want an explanation of why that is the case without diving into the ball. And I don't think that there is. I don't think there really is one.
All arguments become bad. Yes. If you remove all context, yes, it's impossible to make a good argument. For sure, but that's what you're attempting to do.
No, it's not. I'm saying that the arguments about the mechanism of reparations are solid. My problem is, why are we using the mechanism? And if the answer is just because black people are poor, then maybe we should just give money to poor people instead of poor black people, because the government played a hand in the government plays a hand in everybody's lives. Like it's every poor person in the country is poor. You could frame it as they're poor because the government let them get poor, and whether they did it by chaining them up and whipping them, or whether they did it by sending them to jail, or denying a housing application, or not their power shut off at a crucial time in their life and they lost a job opportunity. The government plays a hand in all of our lives. So to say that we've come up with this super specific reason and very obvious, like colorful reason for why we should give money to black people, obfuscates the fact that we're just trying to give money to black people and not to white people.
I think Destiny has said some things pretty succinctly, and I don't think we're gonna arrive anywhere. I don't think we're going anywhere. Right
I mean, I think we all.
Would this logic follow for other path wrongs, such as such for poor
one.
Communities?
I think we all agree that we're only talking about this because black people are poor. Mr. Girl's contention is that's the meta conversation we're having. then shouldn't we just broaden the conversation to all poor people? The reason why we don't have that meta conversation is because we are talking about black people because they are poor, but the reason why they're poor is because they are black people. And that's what makes it more special here. There weren't policies on the book. There weren't policies on the book to discriminate against poor people when we talk about like redlining and stuff. There were policies on the book to discriminate against black people. So when we're talking about a group of people that are poor, and we want to address the grievances of that group of poor people, we're not going to address the grievances of all of poor people, but that specific group of people are poor because people have targeted them in the past on a characteristic like their blackness. We'll probably focus on that characteristic that was targeted when we go to address those grievances.
I also want to chime in there because I think Mr. Girl kind of, I don't really disagree with you. I just think you're kind of doing the thing again where when you suggest this idea of let's just go for poor people and not black people, I think the problem with that is it doesn't actually get rid of white grievance, I don't think. Because the problem is that if you target...
I don't want to do it to get rid of white grievance.
Yeah, okay, but like...
I think it's just
acknowledging that that's why I think like the race and class thing kind of needs to like it can't really ever be disconnected, right? Because I guess white people who are poor they're poor as well, but for different reasons, and there might be like a difference.
So fuck them, right?
Yeah,
no, not fuck them. Like the solution to their poverty is not reparations, right? Like if there's something else that needs to be done. Like,
I don't think the solution to black people's also, people were enslaved. If there were a bunch of rich black people living in Africa, I don't think they would be enslaved. Africans were enslaving each other. That wasn't because they were black. It's because they were poor.
So let's say,
you can make an argument that class underlies all of it.
No, it doesn't. That's the point. So let's say you have 100 people, okay? 50 white, 50 black. Let's say that you set these people in the world. You give the 50 white people $1 million, and you give the 50 black people $1,000 in debt. Let's say that we run that experiment, and after 100 years, we check in on both groups. Let's say 95% of the white people are wealthy, and let's say that 80% of the black people are poor. And now we're looking at these groups, and we're like, well, fuck. How do we rectify these problems? Well, it's tempting to say, well, even though most of the black people are poor, there are still some poor white people. We should just target the poor people and fix the problem. What other people will say is, well, hold on. Yeah, there are some poor white people, and there are some poor black people, but a lot of the poverty from these black people wasn't just because they were poor. It's because somebody in the very beginning specifically fucked them up due to them being black. And if they were initially set back due to being black, when we go to address these grievances, shouldn't we specifically pay them back because they're black?
Okay, I have two responses.
Go.
One is no. I think we should be focused, and this is why I brought the white guilt thing into this. I think we should be focused on what is going to help the most people, not what is going to make us feel better. And I think that I understand the justification, but I still think we should just help all poor people as much as we can, regardless of why they became poor.
So
and
let's
second
talk
of all,
about.
second of all, let me can I just make my second point, Dick? Will you please help me?
Go for
please
it.
help me. Okay, my second point. My second point is that again, black people were not given $1,000 in debt in your analogy simply because they're black. In your analogy, they were, but they weren't enslaved because they're black. They were enslaved because they're poor. The slaves that we bought from Africa were already enslaved by other Africans, right? And they were not enslaved because they were black. They were enslaved because they were poor.
In the United States, like the whole point of like indentured servitude was that like you could never buy your way out. Like you could like it. The institution of slavery in the United States wasn't just for poor people. It was pretty specifically for black people. I know there were some white slaves in the United States, but overwhelmingly, like this was a racialized kind of thing.
I know, but I just don't think
as soon as you go one generation after 1619, then yeah, like if you're a slave, it's because you're black in America, right? Like within the United States, that's what we're talking about.
I think this will help Mr. Girl out. So Mr. Girl, let's take Destiny's example where you said there were 50 white people and there were 50 black people, and we came back. Now imagine if you set these things into motion that Destiny said, and imagine when you come back, for some reason there's equal representation of poor people because imagine that so this is what we got to change about Destiny's example. Imagine there were 100 white people instead of 50. So there were 100 white people and then there were 50 black people. Now imagine you come back and there's 50 poor black people and there's 50 poor white people and there's 50 rich white people. because the population sizes don't actually match, which is why I had to change his analogy just a little bit. Now imagine if you only try to solve for poorness, those disadvantaged Black people, specifically because of their race, can be overlooked as the population size grows. So if you're on a sufficient part of the population, then your grievances that you are somewhat trying to correct because you're trying to make poor people better, those grievances aren't addressed because you're helping a smaller part of those people. So that's why doing it specifically on them being Black because they were done wrong because they were Black makes more sense.
Fuck, Mr. Girl, I've got a really good example. Shit. Can I just like?
Well, then I'll just go fuck myself. I'll just go fuck myself while you give your good example, I guess.
If this doesn't work on you, like I'll just give up and cry. Okay.
Nothing works on me.
Please. So like.
That's my trademark.
I'm just going to CRT pill you here. Right? So like Crenshaw in the 90s wrote this essay with one of the ones on intersectionality. And one of the things that she noticed was that if you're looking at shelters for rape survivors, there was this problem that in Black communities, for whatever reason, they kept on like underperforming. Like they didn't have enough resources, even though they were modeled according to like the finances of each community, and like what, you know, so if there's a working class community, they'd get more resources and all that. But the problem with in specifically Black working class communities was that the need for alternative housing for victims was so much higher because of generations of housing discrimination. So even though it was modeled to control for class, the problem was that Black victims were still disenfranchised because even white working class victims were more likely to have support networks that they could get alternative housing quite easy. So the modeling for these shelters was that housing wasn't a massive priority, but in Black communities, it had to be. And that's traced back to racism. So that's like one example of where like you can't disconnect race from class, like where race and class need to come
I would
together.
like to rebut. That is a after the fact understanding. After things were tried to be, you tried to apply things equally, it didn't work out for the Black people. You then looked at the data, and then after the fact, gave the Black people the resources that they needed and did not
target you.
You are now trying to say that this after the fact examination of what happened and then how you fixed it can be applied to a before the fact.
Watch your step.
Who's not given reparations yet. Like mental gymnastics or rationalization of what you already want to do. But the reason you want to do it is not like, oh, if we give money to poor white people, it doesn't work. So we can only give it to the poor Black people. That would be the analogy you'd have to make. It'd be like, well, we realize because of slavery, Black people need infusions of cash into their bank accounts, or they need property given to their families that white people don't need. White people need something else. That's not what you're saying, so it's not really a good analogy. And I also think I'm already CRT pilled. I'm the only person here saying I don't think we can just say that slaves were enslaved because they're Black. They're also enslaved because they're poor. There's no answer just because they're Black or just because they're poor.
So I mean I looked this up because I was curious about that as well, but there was there was a heavy influence from racism which contributed to the slave trade. I can read you this little blurb here. For much of the period from the 15th
I think we all know that it's more comfortable to take a whip to somebody who looks different from you. I don't think we're not going to get any argument about that.
I thought the argument was that slavery didn't start. They didn't enslave Europeans. Did not enslave African Americans because they were Black, but because they were poor. That's what you said.
Okay, let's say you and me save up $50 million, and we're gonna enslave some people. We're gonna spend this money on enslaving people on an island. We buy the island, and then we have to pick a country to go to enslave people. And we're gonna pick a country. We don't want to enslave people that look like us because that would be weird, right? So that's where our racism is gonna come in. We're gonna be more comfortable with
shelter.
What country do you want to go to enslave people? Should we go to Japan, or should we go to Congo?
I thought we were anti-white racists.
Well, I don't know if any, I don't know what
I was going to just bring up the actual history with when it came to the slave trade and the initiation.
I don't want to talk about the history. I want to
you don't want to talk about the history because you said something earlier that is now disproven based on the history. That's why you don't want to talk about it.
I'm proving to you right now that you cannot enslave people that are much richer than you.
So
you can't enslave
realize that if
people.
poverty may have played to the benefit of the racist, sure. However, they were not looking around saying, this is rich, this is poor, let's go get these guys because they're poor. It was because they were black that motivated the European slave trade.
It's obviously both. Obviously,
but it's more so on one than the other.
Okay, so you're saying that if so you're saying you could go to Wakanda and enslave Wakandans because they're black. You can't enslave rich people. That's what I'm trying to fucking tell you.
Shelter.
They have to be. You can enslave white people if they're poor. You can't enslave rich black people. If they have a society that is technologically advanced like Wakanda and rich, you can't just go there and start loading up boats because they'll kill you. You can't do that. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so it sounds like what you're saying is that the poverty may have played to the benefit of the racists. No, however, you are translating what I'm saying. The slaves because of the distorted view that they had of African Americans. You realize that Europeans and Africans used to be in the trading business together, right? And it's during the 15th century that then led to the racist stereotypes that Europeans had of black people, which then also played a huge role in the slave trade.
Like Lonabox said, I am CRT code, and I understand the interactions between the profitability of being racist that encourages racism, then that racism encourages the profitability of slavery, and it's all an intertwined mess. And that's why I'm saying that it's not so simple. You can't just say these things happened to them just because they were black. It's also because they were poor.
It happened to them just because they were poor. You're being as reductions.
I just said it's both. Wait, do you remember when I was... Wait, let's rewind.
Well, now you're kind of walking it back because this is why you don't want to remember.
All right, Dick, will you help me out? Will you tell somebody to shut the fuck up? Please. Let's go to chronology. Remember 5 minutes ago, Gambit, when I was mockingly saying it was both? Remember, does that ring a bell when I was saying that? So don't. Okay.
Nobody took contingent with that. Everybody took contingent when you previously said it was mostly because they were poor. You said that's why we should do reparations for poor people. You didn't say we should do reparations for poor.
No,
and
I'm not
people.
saying that's why. No, stop. I'm not saying that's why. Okay. I do not believe that the history of why people are poor should be taken into account when you're thinking about helping them. That's what I believe. So I don't think it matters whether you're poor or why you're poor or what color you are as you're poor or whether what color you are contributed to you being poor. I don't think that should be factored in. I can understand your justifications for it, but please do not take my counter argument outside the ball. Remember the ball. I'm making a counter argument outside the ball. I'm saying I don't think you should be using this shit because I don't think it makes any fucking sense. That my counter argument is I'm not saying we should give reparations to poor people if their ancestors are poor. I'm saying we should help out poor people because they're poor now, regardless of how they got there.
Everybody agrees with you on federal policy that we shouldn't do it in a racial way. Nobody disagrees with that. But if you want to talk specifically about reparations in a distinct conversation versus just talking about UBI or free healthcare or whatever, yes. If you want to have a conversation over reparations, then yes, the idea of what demographic you belong to can matter. It can be very important due to why you ended up in a bad situation.
Are you still not done?
Just talk about, hey, I don't want to give free healthcare only to black people. Nobody's going to disagree with you, but we're talking about reparations here. But you're trying to.
I don't want to give free healthcare only to descendants of slaves. My point is.
Yeah, nobody wants that. Nobody's arguing that. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. I think that when you have like discretionary prosecution, like the fact that cops can decide whether to investigate you, and the prosecutor can decide whether to charge you, and the judge can decide how long of a sentence to give you. All of these give opportunities for racism to creep into the system, right? Even if even if nobody's thinking it, it can still happen. I think a similar thing about this. When you start thinking, well, what's our reason for why this group of people gets help beyond that they need it? It is infused with anti-white racism.
Okay, I think we should do last words on this because we were somehow Max turned a white grievance panel into a 1-hour debate on reparations. Unbelievable that he let that happen.
I think the white grievance standpoint is that reparations are not fair.
I'm grieving as a white man now.
Yeah. I can't believe nobody mentioned Israel. Maybe I've been calling into the wrong shows for too long. Should we do?
Probably.
Can we move on to a happier question? Hopefully, this one's about pride. We know that Black pride is good, and Latinx. It says Latino pride here is good, but that's not as a Latinx.
I'm sorry to both of you.
Jesus.
Latinx pride is good. White pride is evil. What gives? Why is that?
Probably because of the association between white pride and what it has meant for so long. It is, especially colloquially, something very different than I am simply proud that I am the color that I am. Truthfully, I think it's pretty dumb to take pride in your race to begin with. Maybe you can be proud that you know you used to be discriminated against at one point in the country, you're not anymore. That's pretty based, I guess. But just saying like I am a proud Latinx or whatever the fuck, like that's pretty stupid also. But I think the reason the white pride thing is met with so much backlash is because, well, when do you see people saying white pride, right? It's always like the most extremist white nationalist types who preach the white pride the hardest.
The real
pride
talk
is usually a reply, right? Like,
we shouldn't.
Pride is a thing because people are like, we're told for most of their lives as children or whatever that they should be ashamed for being gay. So it's just like, yeah.
Right.
No.
I think along the lines of what Hunter said, I think when we look at the structure of white or the structure of black, they were drawn specifically to create like oppressors and oppressees. So I think when people see people take pride in the white moniker, they're seeing them take pride in drawing this circle around a certain group of people and preferentially treating them. And when you say white pride, you're saying that I'm proud of these boundaries that we to oppress other people. I don't really hear white people that are like
what's your step?
Racist. You can say this because a lot of people don't even identify with whiteness because the term is so like.
Yeah, I think the issue is that like white pride sounds dumb because really black pride. I don't think that there are groups of people that immigrate to the United States. Maybe some. But I've heard people say that like, if you come to the United States from Kenya or Nigeria, you don't think of yourself as black. You just say like, oh, I'm from Kenya or I'm from Nigeria. Like it's a little bit more precise. Like if you go to Europe, people from like Sweden or like the UK wouldn't necessarily like, oh yeah, I'm white or whatever. They talk more on their I think if people want to pride because they're like Kenyan or they're descendants of slaves, Africans, like the idea of just like black pride, and there is no shared black experience. Is kind of dumb.
What's your step?
Argument for white experience. Like you don't have like Irish pride or Scottish pride, and you live in the U.S. and you're talking about these, that's probably okay. It sounds less weird.
2, 1.
Yeah, I think the big thing.
You don't think there's a white identity?
I mean, there's not even really a coherent.
Find show target you.
I think people use black because like most people that are descendants of slaves, I don't know what the fuck I'm not gonna have some pride in some nationality.
Well, that's why I'm saying like it'd be African American, right? Where African Americans is
like fanatic found the term like ADOS, and that's why like a lot of us like, yeah, that's a dope term. Okay, cool. So yeah, I agree that there's more local classifications that we would accept them more. But I think people would accept black because that's the majority of the society. So it's like, yo, I'm black and I overcame. So it's like a similar pride in that way.
Mr. Girl, do you have anything to say about pride?
Find shelter.
Seems like everyone is post-pride here. I think
well, it sounds like it, but I don't. That's not the sense I get looking around the country and looking at conservatives, especially. I think Trump has certainly tapped into a strong feeling of not just anti-white shame, or people who don't want to be ashamed of being white, but people who are proud to be white. It does feel like a white identity, whether it's coherent. Like I don't know if like Christianity or Judaism are really coherent identities either, but people have them. So
what's your step?
I disagree. I think that there is a white identity, and I don't think that everybody who has it is racist, Bandit. And I disagree with everything everybody just said. Thank you.
I think actually maybe we could agree if we frame it how it might have been the one that brought up the point.
Find shelter.
People have pride, and it might be in response to other types of aggression. So if you are seeing people not being proud of white, maybe it's because they've always felt attacked as white people, right? Like absent and seeing progressive attacks.
Like gay people.
Run out.
Yeah, when you have a bunch of people saying "fuck white people," well then it's not really that surprising because white people feel all attacked.
Absolutely.
I think you're also saying they shouldn't have it because it's nonsensical or doesn't make sense. Those are the same. But because you're saying it's nonsensical that it's dumb. They shouldn't have it because it's dumb. But they do. I mean, like, I guess the question is not so much should white people be proud of themselves, but what if they are? What are they supposed to do about that? And are they allowed to talk about it? And how do we talk about them?
I think it's okay.
Right now, the answer feels like they're not allowed to talk about it, and we talk about them very negatively.
I think it's okay, but I think what Hunter said is important. Anybody saying that they're white and proud should understand the context that could be perceived in, and as long as they're elucidating that I'm not a KKK member that's proud of oppression and things like that, I see no problem with people being white and proud.
You think black people should have to say I'm not a gangster every time they say they're proud of being black because of what the other side associates with their race? I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to tell people they should have to make some fucking... Wait, no, I don't think it's fair to tell people every group of people does horrible shit for all of eternity. So okay, everybody is associated with a group of people that does horrible things. To say that no, motherfucker, no. To say that any time that you're gonna say you're proud of your race, or that you should have to fucking cut your balls off to appease the liberals. No.
Can I ask you a question? I don't want to remove context like that. So when you hear Black Pride, you think blah blah blah. I don't think you do. I don't think there's social
I don't, but I think when conservatives hear Black Pride, they think BLM. They think riots.
Something actually that Gambit does agree with, I don't know if you'll, but this was kind of a funny way that this showed up in a past argument, was I agree that you should probably be aware of the context when you say shit like, oh, I've got white pride or whatever. But something that I thought was really weird is there's a lot of like those like Nation of Islam people are pretty fucked up, and when I hear people talk about like black separatism or like black supremacy,
that's cringe.
Is it? Yeah. I thought. Wait, was it? You didn't defend that before?
Dude. No.
Are you sure you didn't say?
No. I think
it looked like
I feel like I was on a panel. I feel like I was on a panel with you, and I feel like you were defending. You were trying to say like, oh well, black separatism is different than white separatism.
Let me clear this up because I don't know who's gonna watch this. What you're talking about is the Canada that we used in our time and everybody was on, and the topic came up on can people date preferentially inside of their race. And I have no problem with white, black, Asian, whatever people. I don't think it's racist to date only inside the race. And there are people that do that, and I think it's strange, but I don't think that's racist. That's the argument that we had. It wasn't anything about black separatism.
It was it might not have been you. It might have been another person.
Not even close.
No, it must have been another person. I don't remember who it was.
So
somebody was.
Like a racial argument we've been in. Well, outside of you saying that, like the criminal justice system was a racist, which you walked back, which was great. But yeah, those are the only two arguments that we've had about black stuff.
Okay.
Well, kind
Hunter,
of like
what
what
were you saying about? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say real quick that I actually am not. I kind of find it pretty annoying if you have to like issue a trigger warning before you say like, just so everybody knows, I am not in fact part of the KKK, but I do take pride in the fact that I am white. Like, I think that's pretty fucking cringe. But again, the reason that people even suggest something like that is because white pride has specifically been co-opted to mean something different from the actual semantics of white and pride. So would you ask a black person if they have to be if they're not a gangster before saying black pride? Like, black pride has not been co-opted to the same extent. I don't think a trigger warning is a good idea, but I think that there are reasons why people take issue with white pride more than pride in other types of races.
288.
And maybe
I think it's 288 15s and then 304 volts.
All of these things when they say white pride. I said specifically they should understand the context. So I wasn't necessarily saying that, hey, you got to announce all of these other like ad libs to it. I just think you should be aware of that context and how you could be perceived. And I think if you do it devoid of context, there are going to be people that perceive you as a KKK member, and you should be aware of that for yourself.
It's an evasive stance to take. We're not talking about whether that's going to happen. Obviously, it's going to happen because people hate white people. The question is, should it happen?
I think the question I think a really good question to ask is like, where does each one is like why did people come up with black pride versus white pride? Like, the reason black pride became a thing, I guess, is because when you were black and you were moved over to America, is like, but by 1 or 2 generations, you had no fucking idea where you were from. You were just black American. That's why the black pride makes sense as a kind of like African American. That's why that's the umbrella. Whereas if you were
for the white, sin seeker shit, do you need soakers?
Whether you your identity is connected to something like nationality or ethnicity. So it's weird that you would.
I'm basically trying
choose
to
the white
learn this
part
shit on the
instead,
fly.
because that's
Let's go.
obviously like a lot more.
I'm like reading and shit.
You know, it has a lot more baggage.
I know, but so this is the vice that white people are put in now. Because of your baggage, you can't fight back against anti-white sentiment. You can't talk about it. You can't have pride. You can't say that you love being white or love white people or that you want to date other white people. You can't do any of the tools that you just named that black people have used to kind of cope with their position in society. White people don't have. Their hands are tied behind their back, and now it's just like free shots on white people. And it's like, is there a point where this is going to stop? Like, the standing of white people is dropping. And that's ideal, right? We want white people to be equal to everybody else, or at least we want other people to raise. But the relative standing is dropping, and yet they're not allowed to have any of the tools that other minorities use to cope.
I don't think you believe anything that you're saying right now, because we've talked on the panel very close to this. So you understand that there's pattern recognition, and you understand that if there's a large portion of
Are you calling me a liar, motherfucker?
No. I'm saying that I think right now
you're calling me stupid. Okay. Go ahead.
No, I'm not calling you stupid. No, but you understand that if there's a group of people that say one thing and it starts to be the prevailing context nationally of what that phrase that they're saying means, you understand that you can't just walk into the room and use that phrase and expect people not to associate you with the group that says that.
Again, you're conflating a prescriptive argument and a descriptive argument. I understand that that's what will happen. That's why I had the fucking panel, because I think it's a problem that that's happening. So I want to get together with a bunch of people who agree that this is happening and talk about what should happen. So I'm saying, should the vice? Yes, that's what I just described. White people are being squeezed in this vice where it's not okay to be white. You're going to be hated and slowly turned into a minority, but you're not allowed to have any of the things that other minorities have.
What's it going to take before white people can say they have white pride? Because it seems like, from what everyone's saying, the concept of black people don't know where they're from. They're from a bunch of different places, so they say they have black pride. That applies to white people too. But what's it going to take for white people to be able to say they have white pride?
I think we should just let them have it.
Yeah, you can say it, right? Yeah, you can.
We can?
Say it. I'm just. Yeah, you just might be misconstrued.
No, wait.
Like they can't.
Like even if you're okay with it, like, but yeah, the rest of the world isn't.
So ads over boss.
Yeah.
All right, all of us, tweet out. I am proud of my white heritage.
I'm good on that one.
On
my account's made it pretty far. I don't want to lose them right now. Okay.
I'll tweet it out too.
I can do it.
Thank you.
I'm proud of the fact that I'm white.
Wait, you can't type that, Max. You don't count as white, no?
I said my hair. I have white heritage. We all got a little.
Oh shit.
At least.
All the Nazis argue it.
So we're killing pets before boss.
Don't get to be white.
4, 3.
Well,
yeah,
maybe
after the alt-right or the groypers or whatever stop ruining white pride for all the non-racist brown white people, then we can maybe talk. But unfortunately, they've kind of poisoned that phrase a little bit. I think a really good thing you could bring up actually is like acknowledging that political leaders, especially who ride on the back of white grievance, never really do anything about it. Like, what did Trump do? He gave tax breaks to billionaires and put his fucking family all in the White House. Bolsonaro filled his administration with big business leaders and fucking ripped through the Amazon and got rid of same-sex marriage and gay marriage. And then like Boris Johnson had the shittest lockdown response. Like a shitload of people died, and then he basically just like lied to the public for years until he was eventually kicked out by his own party. So yeah, well, I don't know what the distress like what you're looking for, but it's not that.
I think that right now, like, this is kind of going back to why Mr. Girl was mad at me from the beginning, is the talk of systemic issues and whatnot, is that it seems like a lot of anti-white sentiment exists more so in social circles or social environments. Aside from Twitter, I will grant that Twitter can be considered a system, sure. But generally speaking, it's not like there's this policy that is causing this. So I think that a lot of the times we're talking about, like, how do you even change the attitude? It can be really complicated, because how do you? How do you stop people from thinking that they're somehow more virtuous by being a white person tweeting how much white people suck?
Well, reparations, I think, could be
white people.
I could get behind that.
Reparations for white people. No, I was going to say that I think reparations for black people will be perceived by white people and by me as a systemic anti-white policy. Relatively, it's also a pro-black policy. I'm not saying it's only that. I'm just saying that there is a lens through which you can look where it's like helping one person, not helping another. The problem with getting your housing loan denied if you're black is if they give it to a white person. So it's all relative.
Yeah, if you want to take white power, use it in positive ways, we'll form a more positive association to it, and then you won't be stereotyped. If you want the answer, that's the answer, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It seems like there's an unending parade of people who use it negatively, always stoke the fire for stuff, so white people could never use it.
Yeah, you'll have to just
white people, the architects of our own demise, once more.
Yeah.
That is why I just tweeted out, I'm proud of my white heritage, and I know that you guys are all doing the same. And we're gonna. Oh, good.
If white people are causing other white people's demise, I think I need to go tweet "White people suck."
No, that's the problem. We don't want to make it worse.
Related to that, by the way, Loner, you should ask some white people what they think about Trump's Supreme Court picks if you don't think that they think he did anything for them. Here's the question. Does the concept of white privilege foster and encourage resentment for white people? And if so, is it worth it? The concept of white...
I think white privilege is a really good thing to understand in the classroom, but I think it almost exclusively has to stay there. Like, it's just so toxic and damaging to public discourse that people either intentionally or unintentionally just can't understand. There's just no point to ever use the phrase. It just fucks everything up.
I kind of agree with Destiny there, partially. Because the concept, like, white people do have privilege for sure, and a lot of privilege that is afforded to white people is literally on the basis of the fact that they are white. Maybe it's my majority privilege as well, but I also agree that it's kind of like the phrase toxic masculinity. Like, anytime you hear it, it's just someone being like, shut up, you have white privilege, you can't talk about this, and it's not really helping anything.
What do you guys think it does in the classroom where it's a good thing? Who do you think at home?
I mean, it's good to understand that like certain classes of people can be disadvantaged for a lot of reasons, right? There could be like attractiveness privilege, there could be height privilege, there could be ethnic privileges, there could be, you know, neighborhood privilege where you live, depending on, like, there's a lot of things that I think it's good to understand that when we're looking at like wide groups of people to figure out like why some people do okay and some people don't do okay. It's probably good to have those conversations. But when you weaponize all these statements, like really bad things happen.
Right. And I think that, like, it's also interesting to think about it because there can exist a white privilege on more of a statistical level, but a lot of the times that is misapplied to just an individual person. Like, if you're working a 9-to-5 and you're barely getting by on minimum wage, and then some like lefty comes up and tells you that you have white privilege, then odds are you're going to take extreme offense to that because you're thinking, what the hell did I get that I haven't earned, right? And it just harms discourse. It really is kind of a useless term at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's even possible to keep in the classroom, to have it out, something that's so easy to weaponize that you could teach it at all and have it stay there?
I think if you're going to use it, you have to understand that it's, first of all, that it doesn't really tell you that much about a specific individual, and also just that actually sometimes right-wingers kind of accidentally do this, where they kind of they basically just make the intersectional argument, as they'll say, well, you're calling me white privileged, well, I'm poor and I'm 4 feet tall and I've only got one arm, how am I privileged? Well, that's an intersectional approach to privilege. I think if you're going to understand one kind of privilege, you'd probably understand like all of them.
Yeah,
I think just because we're bastardizing terms doesn't make the term in itself useless. I think it makes the people that are making those arguments useless. I think white privilege has a definition, and like y'all were saying, when we misapply it and use it for personal connotation, it doesn't make sense. That's not what it's meant to represent. It's meant to be like a systemic or a cultural thing, and when people apply it to individuals, especially individuals working 9-to-5 with one arm, it doesn't make sense, right? So y'all are really upset with the use of the term, not with the term itself.
I'm upset with the term itself.
Racism, just
this could apply to the white pride thing too, right? White pride, just the fact that it's been bastardized, you might argue, doesn't then mean that it can't be used in some other different context. Whereas with white pride, or white privilege, we can think of a better way to phrase it. It could be better.
Yeah, I think the term is flawed, because when you say I have white privilege, you just mean I get treated like I should be. I get treated normal. I get, you know, I
Yeah,
apply
but
for a
normal
job,
means
and my
white,
application.
right? That's the.
Well, I know, but you're saying I apply for a job and I get the job.
Phase 2.
If my application is successful, that's normal. That's what you would expect. To call that a privilege doesn't really make sense. I think it sets the bar for normality at like being treated like a black person is normal. And then white people are like a special privilege, but that's not really true. I think being treated like a black person is abnormal in most situations. It's below the bar.
Yeah, wherever you want to put the barometer.
No, but I'm saying that the word privilege puts the barometer at a person of color as the normal expected experience. White people get all these special privileges. We should take that away. We should treat white people the way we treat everybody else, which is like shit. It doesn't make any sense. That like it would make sense. Shouldn't you want to frame it that we should treat people of color the way we treat white people? Shouldn't everybody get treated? Again, I'm speaking not on Twitter and in my circles, but in the justice system. Shouldn't everybody get treated the way white people get treated?
Everybody should have white privilege.
Yeah, right. So that's not the word privilege doesn't really make sense. The word privilege makes you want to take the special treatment away from white people. It's geared to make you want to pull white people down.
I can agree with that with the phrasing, but maybe I would be more than happy to be corrected here. But isn't it true that if there are people in the country right now who are treated poorly or are not as fortunate as white people on the basis of the fact that they're not white, wouldn't that then almost demand that white people do have a privilege solely because someone else's misfortune for not being white?
Okay, so like if you and I go to a restaurant and they're like, Hunter, you're not allowed to use the bathroom. And then I go to the bathroom. Do I have a special privilege? Like, it's not the VIP room. It's just normal. You're supposed to be able to go to the bathroom in a restaurant. So I feel like there's something bad being done to you more than something good being done to you.
Right. So rather than a privilege, it's more of inequality directed at me there.
Yeah, right. Because it's like, because you're not like, well, fuck. If I can't go to the bathroom, Max shouldn't be able to either. And I feel like it engenders that sentiment of like, well, fuck these white people in their nice houses, driving their cars and having their jobs and shit, fuck them. We should all fucking live in the inner city. Like that, but that's not, doesn't make any sense.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think that you're right, that it can easily be misapplied there, too.
I don't know. Yeah.
Get rid of the term then. We got rid of the term. Mr. Girl wins!
Mr. Girl wins. If you are getting rid of it, you better get rid of all the other ones, right? Like good looking privilege or like
That's
no, I think
there's like all my privileges are going out the fucking window now. Great.
No, because a really good looking tall person gets extra shit. They get a job that they don't deserve. They get a tip that's more than 20%. You know, so that's not. We shouldn't all be treated like that.
I don't know, but if a black and white person are applying for a job, the employer says picks the white person, but only because they've got some like internal like racial bias, and the white person taking the job they didn't deserve, right?
Exactly.
No, I don't think that's how it works.
Why not?
What?
Someone else is being disqualified on the basis of their race, right?
Yeah, I would frame it that way, not that the white person. Like, yes, I don't, because like a lot of white people are applying for the job.
But it's a privilege that you get to kind of like leapfrog over other people who would otherwise be more competitive.
No, you're not
right?
leapfrogging. They're just being sunk.
Okay.
You can say this with any privilege, right? You're just saying, I want to look at the glass half full. That's what you're arguing.
No.
I'm not. He's saying like, imagine you look at a person with 2 legs, and we call those people advantaged people. He'd be saying, well, hold on. We shouldn't call people with 2 legs advantaged, because that's assuming that like having less than 2 legs is normal. We should be calling the people with 1 leg disadvantaged.
But if you put a 2-leg person, if you put a 2-legged person into if you put a 2-legged person into 1-legged person's games, then I guess they do have the advantage.
Yes, you can engineer a situation to make what we're saying not make sense. But if you don't do that, it's about where you're setting the barometer for normal. So it's not, you can't just take all kinds of privilege and lump them together. That's the problem. I'm saying white privilege is a misnomer. You're not actually saying that white people get special benefits for being white. You're saying they get treated the way that people should be treated. That's all it means. What you're really saying is that people who aren't white don't get treated well.
Little people just get treated the way that they should be treated.
No, they get treated better.
It's really disadvantaged.
No, they get
it's really
treated better than
That's ugly. It's historically similar.
I don't think that's true.
No, it is though.
Well, it's a pretty well known fact, I believe, that like fat people are less likely to get a job as compared to a good looking thin person. Does that mean that fat people are mistreated, or does that mean that thin people have a privilege?
It means fat people are mistreated, but at a certain point, if you're super pretty, when we talk about pretty privilege, we're talking about people who are
people
much
like me.
more, people like Steven, who are much more attractive than the average person, who get, you know,
all sorts of opportunities you couldn't imagine.
money and fame that the rest of us could only dream of.
Does it matter if everyone is fat? Which is normal?
Yeah, I think that moves the barometer. Yeah.
It seems so. You're saying it's a term that's crafted specifically to weaponize against white people or play up a joke.
Yeah, and to rationalize anti-white sentiment.
It can be used to rationalize anti-white sentiment, but I don't like the idea. I don't like the phrasing of it's been crafted in order to encapsulate white guilt or something. No, I think that white privilege most likely originated as nothing but an academic term, and it is now been abused by a bunch of loser larpers.
But it's academically stupid, so I am willing to call it crafted.
Well, I mean, we're into semantics here, and I think that your approach is probably better rhetorically, but I do think there's still something to be said that if there is a society in which everybody or black people are treated worse because of their race and white people are not treated worse, then you could also argue that you have a form of white privilege.
You can, but like, how are the? I just don't believe that the millions of people who are poring over this term academically, writing and reading books.
This is the dumbest semantics argument ever. Okay, you can use these terms in any ways, right? Like, if you are a healthy male.
Yeah, but it matters.
It doesn't. If you're a healthy person in society,
it does.
That's an amazing advantage. That's really good. You have your health. Everybody would speak that way. You're so privileged. You have your health. Even though being healthy should be the default position. Like, when we're talking about privileges and advantages, we're usually speaking relative to other people, right? If there are people that are disadvantaged from certain things, if you have your health, that's considered a great advantage. You wouldn't say like, wow, you got your health. You're considered a great normal. That's not what it means. It would be like an advantage.
But no, when you say a privilege to have your health, you're making a comparative you're trying to reframe how we all normally think. We all think being healthy is normal, and you're saying actually you should be grateful for your health.
No, that I don't agree.
Well, you should.
Like, if you have a test the next day and you get a
full
full night's worth of sleep, and somebody's like, "What an awesome advantage! Like, good job! Like, that's great! Like, you have the privilege of being wide awake today when you take your test." You wouldn't be like, "That's not a privilege." And when you frame it that way, you're doing a disservice to the people that didn't.
No, I wouldn't. No, but the person is obviously saying it to provide an alternate lens for you to look through. They're saying, like, whatever else is going on in your life, think about your health, your sleep, you have space, you have shit that other people don't have, and like maybe you should feel differently about your life than you do. That's the only reason to say something like that out loud. So the question is, if white privilege is adopted as not just a certain way of looking at things, but like how things are, what does that do to white people? And you're saying it doesn't matter, but I think it does matter.
We agree that you have amazing rhetorical argument.
Well, I mean, like, let's look at how we want things to be in society. If you were to ask most people, what's our goal for a society? Do we want, in a society with white privilege, do we want everybody to be treated like white people, or do we want everybody to be treated like black people?
Probably better than white people.
When BLM are looking at like crime stats, are they saying like the amount of people they get, the amount of black people that get mistreated by the cops is bullshit? We need to get more white people mistreated so that it's fair. Or are they doing the other argument? They're saying like, okay, well, hold on, white people get treated this way, black people get treated this way, we should all be treated like white people. Even though they're saying white people have an advantage,
no.
They want everybody to enjoy the same advantages, right?
No, black people clearly want it both ways. When Derek Chauvin gets his sentence, or whenever any cop gets off, or anybody, or a school shooter comes out, when a mass shooter comes out alive and the police arrest him, black people are sitting there like, they should have fucking shot that guy 35 times in the fucking back. Oh my God, the tears I have seen, literal people weeping on social media about how this guy didn't go to jail for the rest of his life. Why can't we just have some justice? It would just make me feel so much better if he would just hang a few white people. Just
dude,
hang
this
some
shit's
white people.
this faded power is busted.
It happens all the fucking time. Don't.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? Should Derek Chauvin have went to prison?
Did Derek Chauvin ever go to prison? I think
should he went to prison.
Oh, should he have gone to prison? I'm pretty anti-jail, so I don't
In the society that we have
in the current
constructed
system,
now,
come on.
in the current system that we have, if you commit murder, do you think separating those people away from the population of what we have jail right now, which is our only solution, do you think that it's just to ask for that justice?
It's the only solution we have now.
It's a busted ass thing, dude. It looks so busted.
Wait, stop.
20% damage, 20% healing, 30% health.
That what's normal is
And it gives you a 600k shield.
It's
fucking
Well,
busted.
being white is awesome.
I don't think Derek Chauvin should be tortured. For
No, it looks
and I
like
think Jail's torture. So no.
Yeah, I
don't
think
he
well.
should go to jail. But that's I don't think a black person who did the exact same thing should go to jail either.
What
But my problem is that in response to torture,
what do you think there should have been justice served in some way or
Yes.
another?
I don't think
that's what
revenge
I'm
is. I don't think revenge is justice, and I think.
Do you
we
think
live
he
in
was guilty of a
disgust- I
crime?
think, motherfucker, let me answer one of these questions. You want to dogpile me? Bring
It's
it
just
on.
this sounds
Bring it
like
on, you
weaseling, to
fucking
be honest.
Someone
lefty
put their knee
pussy
on Mr.
bitches.
Girl's
So we
neck.
just have to
on.
bust the shield
Hop
like
on, there's
fast
enough
as
room
fuck.
on this dick
And then,
for all
and then
of you.
and then we're
Okay,
busted.
to answer your questions one at a time, I don't think.
No,
that
I would
jail
save
is
save cooldowns for
jail is
after the
torture
break.
and
It's
revenge. We live in a
only
bloodthirsty
700k
society that for
HP.
some reason
So
is the
like
highest
don't
incarceration rate
like bust it and
anywhere
then
in the
pop your
world.
cooldowns
It's
and you'll
because
fucking
we're
go
bloodthirsty
ape shit.
fucks and we like locking people up and torturing them because we hate them. Two, I know I don't. But
It'll
just
probably
because you
happen
normalize
really fast, to
cleaning
be
up
fair.
black people, that doesn't make me wanna do
It'll
it
probably
for
happen
white
really
people. My
fast.
whole point was
If we all
white
if we have a
privilege,
decent
when
a
you
couple
frame it
people
like
swap,
that,
it'll probably go
does-
down really
it
fast.
encourages this kind of sentiment where black people are
If
like,
everybody swaps, it'll go down
justice
really
would be
fast.
if you were tortured too. It would just be so wonderful if that would happen to you. I would cry tears of righteousness.
I didn't know you
That's
were
like
the ultra leftist we were talking about.
That's just your opinion,
You
man.
can't even get me to prison. Jesus Christ, what happened?
I believe most people should not go to prison, and then if they do go to prison, it should be to remove them from society, not to torture them.
What would justice look like to you for someone who does commit like the crime that Chauvin did? Like, what would it look like to you?
Chauvin shouldn't be a cop. I don't. Does any of us think that if Derek Chauvin, does any of us think that Derek Chauvin was not a police officer, that he would have knelt on anybody's neck for 9 minutes in broad daylight? Okay.
In broad daylight, no, but maybe in trying to restrain somebody else as a bouncer or maybe in a party or something. Maybe.
Okay. Do you think Derek Chauvin should be a bouncer? I don't think so. He pretty clearly has shown that he's not able to like really leave the room and like not kill people.
Why would you do such thing? You're gonna disembowel him from every job.
Yeah, what is he just not allowed to do anything?
Damn.
You work like loss prevention at like Super Target, or is that like?
Yeah, I think so. I think justice might be of justice to prevent from happening again. In my view, what would prevent it from happening again is no security guard, no cop, no job where you're restraining people or where it's part of your duty to be restraining people. You clearly have shown that you're not able to do that. When I watched the video of Derek Chauvin killing George Floyd, I'm not thinking like that he's a racist or that he's like that there's animosity there. I just think he doesn't know what to do and just did the wrong thing. And I think he felt probably cornered and just kept doubling down on what he was already doing because he didn't want to suffer the humiliation of admitting he was wrong in front of a bunch of people. And he probably didn't think that would result in the guy dying, and it did. Somebody with that kind of like train of thought should not be a cop.
You got to make that. If that wants to be your argument, but the question is, in your society, people that commit gross negligence that murder people,
target you.
Like, are you gonna say, "Oh no, we're just gonna find you a new guy"?
Yeah.
There'd have to be some. You don't think there should be any kind of a punishment, even if it is like your negligence could harm other people, so we could lock you up for a certain amount of time?
I don't think you should go to jail for being stupid. No, I don't think that's right. I don't think you should be punished for being stupid. And I think Derek Chauvin ultimately is just or was in that situation stupid or even maybe impaired in some way where he did like clearly there's no fucking way he was like, I'm gonna murder this guy in broad daylight with the entire planet watching him.
Well, yeah, of course, but I mean, the fact that
so you didn't kill him on purpose.
Okay, he doesn't have to do it on purpose. It's the fact that he had negligence and then was also a cop, which means the entire
yeah, to me that speaks to a systemic problem where clearly, or I mean, it might not be a systemic problem. It might not be a systemic problem because this doesn't happen that often. Maybe it's just that it looks like it happens a lot because whenever it happens, everybody talks about it on social media, so it seems like a big statistical issue. And maybe it's just like, well, this just happens sometimes. When you have a group of people who run around, their job is to lock you up and support your body into different positions. Once in a while, it's a mistake. Like,
yeah, but it is definitely indicative of a systemic problem. Not that there's
I don't know. I don't know if it actually is. I don't know.
Well, I know that it is.
Dead ass. I was about
I know
to.
that it is.
Thank you.
Because we have statistics which show
dead ass. I was just
that
be like,
black
fuck it.
people are more likely to and do get killed by cops at disproportionate rates. This doesn't mean that all of them are dying the same way that Derek or that George Floyd did.
I don't think that's actually true.
I think that if we wipe our minds from all of the if we wipe our minds from all the media we've seen, from all of the lines we've been fed, from all the ideologies we have, and I think we watch the videos and we look at everything that happened with George Floyd and Derek Chauvin, I think any honest actor would obviously say Chauvin was not trying to kill George Floyd. That almost certainly wasn't happening. If you look at his facial expressions, you look at everything that's going on, seems like he was probably trying to restrain him. He wasn't taking him seriously when he said he couldn't breathe, because Floyd literally said that like 15 times during the encounter when he was in the backseat and clearly couldn't breathe.
He wasn't taking him seriously when he didn't have a pulse either. Like,
sure,
like,
hold on. Wait, hold on.
He's just trying to.
Yeah, he's obviously he's
somebody
doubling.
checked this pulse and he stayed on it. Like, what are you talking about?
He's doubling down because he's okay, never mind.
I agree.
No. Destiny appealed to a reasonable person. You think a reasonable person would continue restraining someone without a pulse?
Yeah,
No,
I think that he wasn't a reasonable person at the point where there are 50 people around him with cameras screaming at him, where he's got a guy on the ground and like everything is fucked. I don't think he's acting reasonably at that point in time. But in your world, hold on. The flip side is in your world. Do you think he's like trying to make sure that he's dead? No, of course not.
I don't need to rationalize it. I just call it gross negligence.
Sure, yeah, that's great. I think hopefully even Mr. Groh would agree. Gross negligence, absolutely.
No, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
Easily.
Yeah, but I don't think we should put people in jail for gross negligence. In Hunter, I don't believe that the police kill black people disproportionately.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and pull up some stats and then
pull them up
talk about how you're wrong.
Well,
I thought we were talking about like white grievances. We went into.
We would say though. Well, never mind. That's all.
Okay, so anyway, what I was saying, what I was saying is that the white privilege thing comes into play the way it affects you with the criminal justice system, where you are more like yes, people will weep for the black person who is overly policed and overly sentenced and overly shot, but they also weep when they see a white person not get shot when they shouldn't be shot. So a white person who commits a mass shooting drops their gun and comes out with their hands up.
And then when miasmas come, we should be able to just change and still have the stack.
Many of them black, complaining about the fact that they were not murdered by the police, and that is sick, that is weird, that is bad. And I think that the use of the term white privilege definitely encourages this sentiment of like, well, if it's going to happen to me, it should fucking happen to you too.
So I want to build a bridge. Yes, I agree with you that those people. I think a bigger majority of black people look at that situation and says, I wish I had not been in court instead of being killed. I think that's the most common sentiment. So are there like situations where
I'm not trying to say that it's
2, 1.
Yes, I think we're both speaking in generalization. I'm not saying that that's every black person or every leftist or whatever. I'm just saying that the sentiment is there.
I agree. Yeah.
And it is fueled by people who spread misinformation, like Hunter here, who go around saying that black people are disproportionately shot by the police.
Okay, so
huge numbers.
Wait, stop. Right off the bat, right off the bat, you just like, I never said in massive numbers. I said they are disproportionately more likely to get killed by the police. That is exactly what I said, and that is exactly what I found right here. From these growing data sets comes some disturbing findings. This is from nature.com, by the way. About 1,000 civilians are killed each year by law enforcement officers in the United States. By one estimate, black men are 2.5 times more likely than white men to be killed by police during their lifetime. And in another study, people
Wait, but that doesn't mean it's disproportionate.
Seem to be twice as likely as white people to be unarmed.
Yes.
This is disproportionate. Yes.
More
likely.
Hold on, wait, real quick. Just
so the shield takes 50% more damage.
Just real quick, that twice as likely unarmed or whatever. My understanding is that it's like 19 black people versus like 9 white people. We're not talking like huge numbers. If you can find those, it'd be great. But isn't it something like 20 black unarmed people are killed a year by cops? It's not like in the hundreds.
Said it was huge numbers.
Try not, but I'm just saying that when we say that like there's like a 30% chance higher.
Wait. Let me.
No. I'm not done yet.
I want to respond to your bogus statistics.
2,
Well, I'm not done yet. I have
1.
another quote-unquote bogus statistic to read you.
Well,
from
you're
Oracle
gish
publication.
galloping. Dick, will you?
You
make
can
me-
guys,
This
you
is
guys
not
can go
gish
back and
galloping.
forth.
I'm responding to
Yeah, let
what
me
you
go
said.
back and let me go back and forth. I want to add context. Just like if you were saying that black people commit more crimes, I would say, well, hold on, I want to add some context to this because that's not fair.
You got to keep it short so he can do his other stat, though.
Okay.
3,
Black people
2,
commit way more violent crimes than white people.
True.
So when you and it's not because they're black. It's not a genetic thing, but it does happen. And that's
Yeah,
just
you
support
added
the
ad
context.
libs. You should do that
Is
with
North-
white power too.
Are you talking about the
You
barrier?
added ad libs because you were uncomfortable with what usually
Oh.
said in that time. I'm just showing you how you do exactly everything
Okay.
we were talking about earlier. No, go ahead. Though.
I'm trying to cut off the road that he would have to say that. So I'm preempting. Given that black people commit so many more violent crimes than white people, you would expect them to be policed more and shot more by the police.
Yeah, that
And
first
also, there's
that
tons of
first
shit
one
you
just
can
like
do even
chunked
while
out half the
unarmed
range, and
to
I was
get
like,
the police
okay.
to shoot you, and they are by their own rules they are justified in shooting you for doing so. So that's not 2.5 times more likely to be like innocently sitting there and shot for no reason. There's plenty of shit you can do to get shot by the police when you're unarmed. And I believe that black people in America today are more likely.
I think we can still spread it.
statistically
I
to
think
do
we
this
can
thing.
still spread and then just
So
take
the idea that
advantage
police
of
are just shooting people
instead of having
because they're
everyone
black,
lost in
rather
a
than
potential
shooting people
arrow.
because of corollary.
Like if you don't see the
factors
arrow
that
and
are
somebody
present,
misses it in our
and
clusterfuck
because
of
they are
like
black,
all
is,
stack,
I think not true.
then
this
you
goes
wipe like
back
the
to
entire
entire
group.
systemic problem,
So like,
which is
and we
what
could still
started this
spread,
conversation to begin
and
with.
then we can just have
You're
like,
right,
oh,
there is
whoever
higher
gets the
rates of
circles,
crime
stack on
amongst
them,
black
and then
communities. Why is that?
it's
Because
still
there
like
are higher rates of poverty amongst black communities. Why is that? Because of redlining, which was a racist policy that negatively impacted black people
Sure.
disproportionately.
But
so
I think what you
hold on,
say-
wait. You have higher rates of police brutality against black people, and even possibly unarmed black people. That's why that one part of the study was relevant. And the reason for that is due to systemic racism. So what you had said originally, you said that I claimed there was a massive amount of black people getting shot. I never said anything like that. I simply said that black people were more likely to, disproportionately, face violence from police, and that is true, even if you try to explain it via crime rates. The reason the crime rates are the way they are is also because of systemic inequalities.
Well, no, I agree with that. But when you say
And that's why
disproportionately shot by police, I thought the implication was that
5,
the decision
4,
to shoot
3,
is imbued with racial
1,
prejudice,
2,
when I think that's
1.
not often the case.
Well, there are
There's
some
people
studies
lack
that show
of
that when they've
value,
had.
which is based off of
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Mr. Girl is right when he adds the fact that there are higher crime rates in these communities, yes. But there have also been studies where they'll take police officers and put them in a algorithm, or not an algorithm, but in a virtual setting, and they are found to be way more trigger happy when it comes to black subjects.
Wait, hold on. I could be so wrong on this. I thought that it was actually the opposite. It was implicit bias. So I thought that when they tested police officers were more reluctant to shoot at black people than white people.
You're right.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
almost
think so.
positive I remember seeing
There may have
that.
been more than one. I know that the one.
I mean, it probably depends on whether it was done in 2020 or before.
There were two different factors. One was how fast they would shoot.
Target
One was
you.
they would shoot more. And I think there was a difference in those two statistics. And that's why I disagree that could become one. I think there were two different things that were measured.
Do you have statistics on which of those shootings justify the overall statement of is there systemic racism shootings? That would probably be part of it.
Spread.
I mean, I can scroll through it. I didn't even read the second stat yet, which showed that
2,
it is still the
1.
highest. Risk is highest for black men who face about a 1 in 1,000 chance of being killed by police over the life course. The average lifetime odds being killed by police are about 1 in 2,000 for men and about 1 in 33,000 for women. Risk peaks between age of 20 and 35 years old. For young men of color, police use of force is one of the leading causes of death.
Yeah, but this is like the interesting part of the control. Let's say that we have 5 white people, 5 black people. Let's say that we give 5 black people
Target you.
on the side, and the white people have no drugs use on the side. Let's say that the cops arrest all 5 black people. When we look at that, we analyze that situation. Do we say police officers are arresting disproportionately? Even though it's true And even though those black people are getting arrested due to, in a way, systemic racism, giving them the drugs, at the time when the police is that a systemic inequality, or is that what we would naturally expect? Would it not be the case that if they weren't arresting them at the rates they were, there would actually be a problem there because they are committing more crime due to systemic injustices? But to ignore the arrest rates or to ignore the crime happening at that point would actually be a bad thing. That's like the question. I don't know how the numbers play out on that, but that's the question.
I also think you're making a strong position because we're talking about George Floyd and Derek Chauvin. So in the context of that, it doesn't sound like you're just talking about the systemic issues that put them both in the position that they were in. It sounds like you're saying, what do we do with cops who kill black people who are not posing a threat? And then if you say right after that you go into cops shoot black people in disproportionate numbers, it feels like you're saying that they shoot them disproportionately to encounters with black people, not that they encounter them disproportionately, but shoot them at the same rates that they shoot white people.
Right, but I thought that it was higher rate or higher likelihood of them shooting black people than white people. That's what
I don't think. I think per encounter, I don't think that's true.
From my memory, I can't remember the study, but I think wasn't it? It was like for shooting, they were actually a fraction of a second more likely to shoot white suspects, but for every other form of violence, they were more likely to kill black people. Was that right?
Was that by that Harvard professor guy, Fryer?
Yeah.
Yeah, that study was actually
I have a question. Does it matter that we're missing the definition of how black people shot? Like, is this relevant that we can't even determine on what exactly is systemic racism?
I think so. Well, I think what I wanted to say is that the message
target you.
Okay, all of us are way more conservative on our stances than the average progressive. Like if you take a bunch of super progressive, especially streamers, they wouldn't make it this far in the conversation. Most people would be like, what are you talking about? Cops are murdering KKK, blah, 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 blah. Like we all know that. But that narrative is so prevalent and so out there that I think it colors how we interpret a incident like George Floyd.
If you use a different example, I'd be more willing to agree with you. But for sure, I get your point. Your overall point, I get it.
Well, what do you think, Andy?
What do I think about what? Which part of this conversation?
I don't know. Whatever you're saying you disagree with.
I think the Derek Chauvin case with such gross negligence that I think people is in a defensible position to say that potentially he could have had some sort of racial feelings on that, and I can't punch that out. So I need a less egregious example to agree with you. That's all I'm saying. This is like the most.
You want your pound of flesh.
Run out.
Do you want your pound of flesh?
No, I just want
That is what I meant.
Did he be killed?
I can't move. I can't move.
Just like I said, both black people just want justice. They don't want people to be murdered. Right?
How long? This is just a little torture. 10 years of torture. How long do you want him to go to jail for?
Jesus Christ.
How long? How long?
30 years.
That'd be pretty good. The guy's like.
He'll probably die.
Okay, well, I think you just fucked up. I think you just fucked up, buddy, because you just said you don't believe in the death penalty, but it's dope if he dies in jail. I think you have some internal conflict about this.
No, I don't. Not at all. I think that if you have a monopoly on violence, that you should be judged with more scrutiny than most other positions. And if you use that monopoly that you have on violence to commit gross negligence and murder people, I think giving you 30 years, whatever your age is, that's your problem when you decided to do it. If he was 20, it doesn't change the punishment that I would give him. So whether he was 20 or 50, the likelihood of him dying in jail because he's 50 is high, but that doesn't change how I felt about.
Okay. What if George Floyd said, you're a real asshole while he was arresting him, and then Derek Chauvin said, "F you, N-word," and then shot him. How many years do you think he should go to jail for that?
At least an extra 10 for the N-word.
Wait, you said Derek Chauvin?
Yeah. What if that had happened? What if that was how it went down instead?
How hate crime modifiers for certain things? Yeah, for sure.
How long do you think? How long?
More clear.
I want a number. How many years should a police officer go to jail? No, how many years should it? I don't. Well,
we said 30 earlier. Now I'm saying add 10 for the hate crime.
So 40?
Hate crime modifier. Yeah, 40 years. Yeah. Dope.
Okay.
I love it.
So Derek Chauvin, I want to get this straight. Derek Chauvin, if he intentionally murders somebody and shoots them and calls them an N-word while he's doing it, completely snaps and just murders the guy in broad daylight, gets 40. But if he, assuming you believe, negligently, accidentally kills him by leaning on his neck, he gets 30.
Accidental, but yeah.
You think he wanted to kill him? You think he wanted to kill him?
I don't. So this is a good
Please don't take that approach.
No. I'm not saying that he. I think that he.
You said it wasn't accidental.
No. Yeah, no. It can not be accidental, but
not be on purpose.
Intentional and negligence.
That's actually not true. Those terms are mutually exclusive.
Intentional and negligence are different. I think
yes,
any person.
That's the question you're being asked: was it intentional or was it negligent? Because you called it gross negligence. But then wait, you called it gross negligence. Do you want to talk or do you want me to yell at you?
I want you to yell at me.
Okay, you said gross negligence, but then, which means not on purpose. And then, but I've said if he shoots the guy and calls him the N-word, you're saying he should get 10 years longer, but it's not that 30 versus 40. It doesn't seem like a huge difference. But then when I say that to you, you're like, well, I don't know if it was on purpose or not. So I feel like you haven't settled whether you think it was on purpose.
I feel like 30 versus 40 is a really big difference. I don't know. But make it 60 if that makes you happy. I don't know.
I don't want you to make me happy. I want you to. What would make me happy is if you didn't want revenge.
I don't want revenge.
30 years of revenge.
No, it's justice.
What's the difference?
It's a good question. I think that if we have a legal system and we have agreed upon laws, I think enacting those laws with everybody being aware of the consequences isn't. I think it's silly to call that revenge. Silly, extremely silly, I should say.
Well, yeah, but you could say that about hanging people. Would you agree that killing people is revenge, the capital punishment?
Wait, okay, now you're asking me, do I believe?
The government, you're saying the government should be able to do. If everybody sits down and makes it a law, then the government can do whatever you want. You're not willing to call it revenge.
If I think it's just, yes. I don't think capital murder.
Yeah, I think if when you think about the government doing something awful to somebody, if you get a boner, it's probably revenge and not justice.
I'm still soft. No boner.
I don't believe you. I think people get a hate boner.
Some people probably do.
It scares me.
It should.
I've got a hate boner question for you here, then, Mr. Girl. This is the last one I have on my question of debate topics. I hope I'm allowed to say this. Should I just say the C word? I don't actually know. Now
we're on YouTube, so yeah.
Yeah, I guess I should. And I'm not white, so I can't say it. The C word is a racial slur. However, it's generally socially acceptable to be racist towards white people. If the goal is to achieve equal social standing among the races, shouldn't the C word eventually be the same amount of offensive as the N word?
Oh, God.
And
I thought this was gonna be a good question.
That's not a good question to you, Gambit? And will that ever be achieved by making the C word more offensive than the N word, less offensive, or both? You don't think that's a good question, Gambit?
I think if we
start to let's start there.
for sure. Yeah, no real people don't consider it a slur. Those are all idiots. But yes, it's a slur that people shouldn't use for sure, without a question. There's no good utility in using it. is it tantamount to the N-word, or could it be tantamount to the N-word? I would say if there becomes centuries of oppression and people are hurling this racial epithet at the group that is being oppressed, at that point, then you could say that they're tantamount to each other. Yes, I would agree. Until that happens, though, I think it's a foolish argument.
Do you think the N-word is getting less offensive over time? And does it, how do you feel about that if it is?
Do I think it's getting less offensive over time? No, I think people are still getting hit with cans of sweet tea, so no, I don't really think so. I think if you walk up to the average group of black people and you say the N-word and you're not black, then you're probably going to, like, there's going to be violence, right? As long as that's the norm, then I don't think we have good, I don't think there's cultural artifacts you can point to say that it's less offensive.
1.
I do. Absolutely.
I think it's getting more offensive.
I think that the N-word has lost almost all of its fight, except when people use it as an insult. The only people that get offended by the N-word are people that are pretending to get offended on behalf of other people. Like when when a white person tweets out a meme with like the soft A or whatever, and everybody's freaking out, it's not because they're actually offended. They're just offended on behalf of like ghosts that they think are offended. I don't think anybody truly actually gives a fuck anymore. I don't.
I completely disagree, for sure, without a question. Yes, and I think most black people have that position too. I don't think it's a minority of people.
You know what? I take the bet. I would take the bet. I bet most black people don't. If you went to a normal black person, you're like, this white dude, he tweeted at a meme and one of the guys said the end with the A, they'd be like, I don't give a fuck. They'd be like, who the fuck cares? That would be my
context to the meme thing, then yeah, I might agree with you. But if we're talking about the general use of the phone, yeah, for sure. Yeah, people are getting hit with sweet tea every day.
What about games playing video games? I think that's done a lot too.
Well, but that's the other one they use.
Well, I just think it's normalized it a lot to the point where, well, I'm going to say for myself, when I was like 19, if I heard somebody say the N-word, any form of it, any context, my blood would boil. Now, I don't care.
I mean, maybe that's just being on the internet for a long time.
I think mid-2000s World of Warcraft or Xbox Live probably outdid the slave trade for the amount of N-words.
Yeah, I mean, notice that y'all are talking about contexts where people aren't around each other, virtual, right? If we're talking about real life scenarios, these things don't happen. That's what frustrates me about YouTube and Twitch conversations about the N-word. We always talk about this virtual shit. This shit doesn't happen in real life. People get hit with sweet tea and get put on YouTube in real life. That's what happens in real life when people use the N-word. Like, that's just the reality. So yeah, if you're gonna ask me, do I think
it depends. No, I think it depends on how you're using it. Like, yeah, if you use the N-word as a slur at a person, sure. But if you said it like the N-word usually now is mostly meant to mean dude. That's like with the soft A, that word means dude. It's not a slur. That is not used as a slur. Nobody says. If you say it with a soft A, you're signaling that you're like on the side of the person that you're saying it to. You're not hurling it as an insult.
If you go to the mall in whatever city you're in right now, and you walk up to a bunch of black people and say, "What up, man? I don't suggest you do this. You might try to do that. I don't suggest it. If you did this, in most cases, there will probably be violence."
No, I know that you maybe have a very negative people and think that they're all just violent criminals who beat the shit out of you for no reason. But I will say to you that I think that's actually not true. I think that I think you would just be met with extreme social awkwardness. I think maybe someone will be like, "Whoa, hey." But like the idea that the average person is just gonna assault you and then like maybe go to jail just because like it's like it's a code you can just say to any black person to like activate their like Jason Bourne instincts to start just like beating the shit out of you. I don't think that's true.
You didn't let me finish. I said there will be violence or something could come from that. Like I'm not saying that everybody.
Four,
that's crazy. I'm not saying that everybody's going to do that. But I think there will be extreme negative, like it'd be a negative interaction.
Yeah, I don't think it would go viral. I don't think it would go viral on Twitter. Like that was. I don't think people would be like, this fucking racist, white supremacist motherfucker thinks he can come up to us and say, "What's up, my N-words? Are you kidding me?" Like I don't see that kind of outrage. I think it would just be like, you probably just be really awkward. You shouldn't do that.
You know the real C word that's kind of just gone under the radar a little bit, people are a lot more worried about, especially online, is colonizing. Every time people bring that word up online, it's like, the way they're talking, you would actually be perfectly fine with like eating all the white Australians and South Africans or even Americans.
Yeah, I think earlier Steven said that it's dogmas.
This means what? Like in the same way that like people use the same as people, now it gets like colonized.
Yeah, because like when you think colonize, like an actual colonizer is someone who goes over to Africa with a gun and shoots someone and takes their land. But it's like if you're calling like the 3rd or 4th generation and calling them that, and yes,
or like the 30th generation,
like,
depending.
Yeah, well, like anything against them is justified. Yeah, like that. Yeah.
So can I cut in real quickly here, and we can go back to the other thing we were fighting about a second ago. So I did some digging because I wanted to look more into this. So first and foremost, here you have a study from 2016 that found that even after adjusting for crime rates, police officers were more likely to use force with black people than white people. You also have multiple different studies which show that even after adjusting for crime, black people are still more likely to be
they're more likely to use force, but they're not more likely to kill them.
Hold on, but that's what contributes to the higher likelihood of death as well. Because there are going to be more cops, they might have more encounters, which only then follows that they are more likely to experience police brutality or death from cops.
But I'm saying
well.
per encounter, a cop is more likely to pepper spray a black person disproportionately. But from what I have researched, they're not more likely to actually shoot them per encounter.
In any given kind of encounters with the police, a black person can be likelier to be killed than a white person, even if the overall rate of deaths per encounter appears lower. Yeah, I mean, but this is because black people might have a higher rate of interaction with police. When you say, yeah, but what about crimes? Okay, but we can't get the studies that we have right now, though. What do we show?
Is there like a shortcut
or black people that are killed by cops as compared to white people? You're right to bring into question crime. Then we have the fact that even after adjusting for crime, police are more likely to search and more likely to use force, which means that even after adjusting for crime, the likelihood of encountering an officer for a black person goes up significantly, which then only follows that it will also lead to disproportionate rates of police brutality and in some cases death by police.
Well, yeah, I guess my point is that there's a big
you agree with me then? So you agree with
I agree with you. Well, no, I disagree with your implication that police are more likely to shoot black people just because they're black. I think they're more likely to shoot black people because of other factors that are correlated to them being black. I think there's a big chain. So I agree, it's systemic racism. There's a big chain of events, and there's a lot of prejudice present in every link in the chain, but we're all really focused on the last link in the chain, which is the shooting. And I think that that's one of the links that actually
figured it out, guys.
Statistically has less prejudice than
made it.
But there's a lot in the other links. But it's easy to just hate the person who pulled the trigger and say they're a bad apple, they're a bad person, they should go to jail for 30 or 40 years or whatever, than it is to look at the rest of the chain and say, like, this is actually a more complex question or problem that's a lot harder to talk about, and we probably shouldn't just be blaming the last dude that
pulled the trigger. And I partially agree with that for sure. I mean, when you say there's no intent or they're not intentionally black people, you're right. I don't think that. I think the majority of cops are just good people who are trying to do their job and trying to keep the city safe. But the way the system works is how it disproportionately affects.
That? Oh my God, that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Wait, what did I say?
Sorry, that most cops are good people trying to keep the system safe. My head almost exploded. I'm sorry.
I mean, people agree with that. It's only Vosh and idiots like that.
A good chunk of cops, yeah, they're just good people out there trying to do a good job. But that's why systemic racism plays such a big role, is that it isn't an individual racist malice or evil cop. It's an entire system that is leading to.
Then why should he go to jail for 30 fucking years? That's
because he still committed an act of murder.
I know, but it's not his fault.
No, it was his fault in that case.
You can't choose to be stupid. Like it's like I just don't think
the
it's
issue. The issue is there's like a higher level of responsibility. Officer. You're stepping into a role. You're stepping into a role where society said, "Listen, like we're gonna trust you so much. We're gonna say that you're the only type of person in society that's allowed to, with impunity, beat the shit out of other people who don't follow all the rules that we agree with. I can't do that as a citizen. Other people, you alone get the responsibility and the privilege to some extent to exercise those powers against us. Given that heightened privilege to be able to execute those powers against us, you also have some level of heightened scrutiny where if you are going to be the one that you trust with it, as responsibly as possible. That's why like a stranger hitting a kid is like pretty shitty, but a parent hitting a kid is devastating because the parent's entrusted with a certain level of responsibility for that child. And when you break that trust, it's probably going to be added responsibility. So police officers trust the kid enough to know.
I would think it's not just negligence, though, Mr. Girl. Is that it's also, well, I guess it would be negligence in this case, actually. But again, it's not just him acting stupid in the moment. He was violating police protocol by using that position with his knee on Floyd's neck.
Sure. So I agree, Stephen, with the premise. But the conclusion being that therefore if you shirk these heightened duties or misuse this heightened power we're giving you, that therefore you should go to jail or be tortured or punished, I just don't agree with that.
Yeah, that's fine, but you're not, you guys, neither of you are really talking about Chauvin or anything at that point. Now you're just talking about like your concepts of like what should justice or retribution or whatever look like in a criminal system, right? That's really what the conversation is about. Like, I don't think you guys
we might have to get into one of Destiny's favorite subjects, is axiomatic principle.
Sure, but I'm saying that like in a conversation about Chauvin, we all agree he did something wrong. The disagreement is just with punishment.
No,
punishment isn't.
I think he was just
No. Hold on. The negligent part, we all agree that he was negligent.
Let's ask him though. He's here, Mr. Mayor. Do you think he did anything wrong?
Target you.
It's wrong to show somebody. I think he did something wrong. I don't think he did it on purpose. But I think he did something
the comparison, what Mr. Earl was saying, what he's saying, it's wrong in the same way that if you drive drunk and get in an accident and kill somebody, it was an act of gross negligence. Like, you chose to drive drunk, saying that you chose to kneel on that guy's neck, but he didn't intend to kill him. That was the negligent part. The negligent part wasn't the physical action, it was the outcome of the physical action. Much the same that the negligent part of drunk driving isn't actually hitting somebody while drunk driving, it's the getting drunk and drunk driving. That was the issue.
Yeah, and so I think drunk driving is a great example of how I think we should view most police killings against people. And I think that instead we view it with this highly racialized, angry, bloodthirsty lens that I don't think is right. I think instead you wouldn't say someone should go to jail for 30 years for drunk driving and killing somebody.
Well, although you would disagree, Mr. Girl, if there was evidence that he was acting with malice, right? Like if he was saying like get on the ground and then he was doing that, then you'd probably say, okay, well hold on, this is looking like he killed him, he murdered him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was murdered.
Wait, real quick, how much longer is this?
Until you leave. You can leave. We can. I think this is the last question, right?
Well, I don't want to like crash your guys' party. I love you all very much. Don't make it weird.
I love you too. I'm not making it weird. I just fucking love you too, man.
Okay, cool. All right, I love you guys. What?
Before you go, hold on.
Yeah, what?
Do you think the C word and the N word have equal weight?
No, nobody thinks that. It's the dumbest thing in the world.
Okay.
Dick was asking it.
Who was?
Yeah.
Well, no. The discussion question is if we're heading towards equality between black people and white people, does it stand to reason that we're also heading toward equality of the slurs used by those groups?
Oh, they should be, but nobody will ever admit that. Because everybody always says that like the N-word is really bad because it represents systemic injustice and blah, 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 blah. And the question is, in a world where everybody's equal, that should be the question. In a world where black people and white people are on equal footing and have equal power, do you think that we ought to be able to utter the N-word slur, or should it be treated the same as the C-word slur? The answer to that is probably yes, but nobody would ever admit that, so...
Does anybody think that the C word is a slur against black people? Like, I always kind of thought it was teasing them. Well, maybe I'm alone.
I love you guys.
Maybe if you call yourself one to a black person, proudly.
Yeah.
And then call them the N-word.
The existence of it as a slur seems...
Alright, be careful, dudes. I hosted Mr.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The guy's the boss there would have. I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming.
I'll be right back.
Would be a pretty high paying job.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, so I feel like maybe I didn't word the question clearly. I think I maybe didn't word the question clearly. The question is, as part of getting to equality, it feels like we're saying, okay, we want to bring up black people and elevate them in their standing in society. The reason the C word is not an offensive slur is because of the standing of white people in society. So as the standing of black people in society approaches that of white people, will it make sense for the N-word to become less offensive?
4, 3, 2, 1. There's so much distance between what I perceive as reality and the question you just asked. If you go to my hometown and you call white people the C slur, that can get to physical violence. So that it's not this thing where like white people are offended by this word. So maybe in cities or something, but in rural America, I don't white people don't take too kindly to being called the C slur.
Okay, sure, but it's not. But there's still a gap, right, where it's not as offensive. It's not, if
it's not tantamount to what a black person feels with N-word. Yes.
No, like if I'm talking to a friend of mine who's like snapping and call this white guy to C, I would be like, oh, that's kind of, you feel bad about that? That's kind of awkward. But if another friend of mine said I snap and I call this black guy the N-word, I would be like, right, go ahead. So like clearly there's okay. So I'm just the question is wherever you view the offensiveness of as the social standing of black people approaches that of white people, wherever it is, does it make sense for these terms to become equally offensive?
I feel like with enough time, the problem is both terms are like very historically related and they're already like 200 years old. But yeah, I mean, obviously you want to be in a stage where like one group can't have that kind of can't have that kind of power over another because in the world, right? Obviously
do we
not.
Want the C word to be more offensive than it is? Less offensive.
Oh.
I don't want the N word to become less offensive.
But why? Less offensive. But this is like invasion of the body.
No.
You just have to let it in.
Well, yeah, do you want to live in a world where like black people didn't get hurt by it?
I would want a world where there's equality of people aren't calling black people the N-word. Not that I want the N-word to lose the bite that it has. Similarly with the C slur, I want to live in a world where people aren't calling white people the C slur.
The N-word is one of the most forbidden, or will be most forbidden, and thus the most delicious word that we have in the English language. I don't think you can. Okay, also rap. Excuse me.
Let's talk about why though. Why
wait. Rap. Just in the course of growing up listening to rap, I have said the N-word probably 3,000 times. So like, and rappers are happy to profit, and they know that they've been singing along. So that I think that alone, I don't think you can say like it's always as offensive as it's always been. I don't think that white people culturally were invited by black people to say the N-word along with them in like the 80s. But now they are. I'm just saying that there's no future where people don't say the N-word. We're always going to say the N-word.
I mean, doesn't everybody kind of say the N-word when they're singing along the rap?
Yes.
At a concert, but not in regular life.
Wait, at a concert but not in regular life? Wouldn't it be better to sing along with the N-word if you're in private as opposed to at a concert?
No, I think people do it at the concert because of this critical number. Like most rap music is consumed by white people. So if there's a mass of like 2,000 white people at the concert, there's like a couple of black people, the likelihood of those people like connecting you socially is less. So it's easier to use it in that context. Versus if the numbers are like 1 to 1, it's less likely for white people to use
that. But you ever watch white girls on TikTok? Sometimes they'll dance to a lyric, and when the rapper says the N-word, they go. So they'll mouth along all the lyrics, and they're like, for a second.
Yeah, that's performative.
I mean, yeah, they're in public, so they probably don't want to get fucking canceled.
So yeah, like it's still really taboo. There was that girl who was that 15-year-old girl who was brought up on stage, and she had to rap onto a song, and she like stumbled and then said the N-word out loud, and there was this huge
Yeah, that was so stupid.
Yeah, and then Kendrick Lamar threw her under the bus. But if you saw Gambit, if you saw a white girl doing it on TikTok, would you be like, well, she shouldn't be doing this song, or would you be like, no, that's good, that's right, bitch, do that shush symbol, or would you be like, just mouth it? Like if you're mouthing the line, you should lip sync that part too. It's the lyrics of the song. Where do you stand?
You asked me what I would want.
Yeah, what do you personally? Where do you stand? Okay, I'm glad it's complicated. This is a very nuanced panel. I want to hear your complicated answer.
Okay. I'm not saying that there was a problem with your question. I'm just giving a filler so I can think about it. Basically, I'm not even responding to you when I say that.
Let's have a moment of silence.
Yeah.
For Gambit to think of the answer.
I'll take a moment of silence. Okay, yeah, that's complicated. That's what I'm
going to stop talking right now.
Yeah. I don't want her to do the performative wokeness for sure, because that's silly to me.
Okay.
I don't think I want to mouth it either, though. I don't think I'm okay.
You got mixed feelings.
No, I don't have mixed feelings. Those are two things that I don't want. And I don't know a solution, so I don't know the solution for her.
You want her to, you want her, but you don't want her to not do the song.
This conversation.
I understand that it might be deliciously tempting to say that, but I don't think if you say that, you want to go.
I do want black people to profit off rap, and I understand that there's going to be a complexity of. No, fuck you. That's not happening.
I said the N-word. I said the N-word 3 times on my rap album.
No, I understand that white people are going to say the N-word not around black people. That's usually what happens, and I'm cool with that.
Okay, you want to solve the TikTok dilemma?
I don't think there's a solution. You asked me what would make me happy.
Pick your poison. I think that, no. Oh, what do you want her to do? What if she said, what should I do?
I wouldn't have advice to give. I wouldn't have advice to give her. I would say there's no way you're gonna make most black people happy in this situation. But do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. But just understand the consequences that happen. If it was in public. That's what I take it like. So like, and this is what I finished about earlier. Like, I'm not somebody that promotes violence. I just want people to understand the consequences that their actions could have. I don't want somebody to be stupid and they say something and then they're mad and they don't understand.
I don't think any violence going to happen to a girl on TikTok for mouthing the N-word.
Yeah, no, yes, I'm not talking about the TikTok though. I'm talking about when it happens in person in real life. And I think that when people do these things on TikTok, they can sort of like,
I know.
That's what I'm looking for.
I think you're kind of evading the question though. Is where do you, if you could choose where all this lands, how do we square all this away? If white people and black people are equals, does that mean that the N-word loses some of its power? So no, I want it to keep its power. Because the only way to keep the N-word's power is also to keep black people at a lower standing in society, because that's what makes it offensive.
No.
During this brief pause, I'm going to go ahead and just jump in here and thank Mr. Girl for hosting this panel. This has been a lot of fun. I'm heading out, but I will say that unfortunately this panel has made me kind of hate white people more, but I think that I can move on from that. Either way, you know. Thanks for having me on, and also just to clarify for people that were wondering, my wife was originally supposed to come on here, but she got sick, so I decided to fill in for her. She was sick on that the white guilt, so I decided to, you know, drop in for her instead. But
I
thank you again.
You filling in. Thank you so much. I did invite you originally before I invited her, but thank you for coming. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you.
Who hates white people more? Is there anybody that hates white people less? Honor, Gambit?
Yeah. I'm starting to understand them.
Yeah, I don't.
One step at a time.
I don't hate the white people that have white dreams. I don't even hate the white people who like cause it somewhere. But I think that the white people that cause it, like, the subject of these type of conversations, right? Like, they're the ones who are putting out all these stupid narratives and saying that people should say this peace slur against white people, and they're saying, like, they're doing all of this performative stuff for like morality points, and like that's the real problem.
I feel like a panel like this is kind of hard to really get to the crux of what you're calling the problem, because you need to have someone on who's like, fucking white people should shut the fuck up and listen kind of person, you know?
I don't think so.
I guess that's kind of who we're talking about, right?
Well, I don't know if those people will come on a panel hosted by me, but I didn't want somebody like that. I wanted to have a reasonable conversation, honestly.
Yeah. So I think we have a lot of agreements. We think anti-white sentiments are bad. Me as a black person, I support white people in that, kind of sort of the question you was asking earlier. I think
we've hit a pretty major disagreement though, where you want white people to participate in black culture so black people can take their money, but you also want them to feel bad about doing so and will not even give a... You're saying, well, people really won't like it if you mouth along the N-word or sing along the N-word. You're saying, I won't like it, and I won't like it if you don't do it, and I won't like it if you don't listen to the music. So doesn't all that sound kind of like anti-white sentiment coming from you? You're basically saying, like, no. I want you to squirm. I want you to buy rap music, and I want you to feel like shit about it, you fucking culturally appropriating colonizer. I want you to feel like a fucking racist piece of shit, but keep buying it, keep giving me money. So I don't think we do.
So I just have to heal this motherfucker? Which boss is this? Council? Yeah, it's absurd. I'll PI Jess. Yep, we're going up full end. We're going full send. I love you too, baby. I love you so much.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spread. Run out.
I'm sending it.
Run out.
full sending it. I'm almost home. He's at 40. We did the 40 thing. What else? Say less?
Run out. Begin. Shockwave. Watch your feet. Shockwave. Target you. Watch your feet. Run out. Watch your feet. Watch your feet.
So what's the legit way? What's the non-cheese way? Okay. So we just like, it's a war of attrition. We just do like, yeah, okay. Orbs. Oh. Are the cages what the infusers go to? Or am I just fucking dizzy? Oh. Okay. Okay. I mean, I okay. Okay. And then we just gotta make sure the orbs are actually taken out, because like halfway through the fight, you said that, or somebody said that, and I was like, wait, what? There's a buff? I was like, there's a buff? It's also just a lot of HP.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Run out. Spread. Run out. Big Al. Shockwave.
That. Sounds fun. What's the new percent for him?
Run out. Run out. Run out. Run out.
That barrier kind of fucked us.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Run out. Run out. Begin. Target you. Shockwave. Run out.
If a barrier hits, it's gonna fucking blow dick. Mad wiener.
Run out. Run out. Run out.
He's almost phased.
Run out.
Are you sure it's 80%? I'm at 86. Oh, it's a...
Big air. Shockwave. Watch your feet. Shockwave. Watch your feet.
You just get first. made your heart skip a beat. Yeah.
Watch your step.
Get fucked. This is.
Stay away from lines.
You know what? That's deserved. He's held us up hostage when he's the sole survivor. Okay. Now he's the sole death. Okay. That is well earned. Nice. I like it. It's fast learning curve. I like it. Let's go. It's a fast learning curve. Wipe everybody. We'll learn real quick.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Watch your step.
So does that give you haste?
Stay away from lines. Watch your step. Stay away from lines. Watch your step. Stay away from lines. Watch your step. Phase 2. Watch your step. Move to circle. Stay away from lines. Watch your step. Stay away from lines. Watch your step. Stay away from lines. Watch your step. Stay away from lines.
This is Van's moment. He's got 800K to catch up.
Watch your step. Stay away from lines.
So what do we do with this one? I'll be honest. Still. Okay. Okay. Sounds pretty simple. How deadly are those mines? Because I know I got that. Okay, because I got. Okay.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Watch your step. Stay away from lines. Watch your step.
I'm trying to help you, Ataru. I promise I'm trying to help you. Ataru, I'm trying to help you. Got it.
Watch your step. Stay away from lines. Watch your step. Phase 2. Watch your step. Stay away from lines. Watch your step. Stay away from lines. Watch your step. Move to circle. Stay away from lines. Watch your step. Stay away from lines.
What are... What are causing those seeds to blow up? Oh. I got like maybe 2 more shots of this, and then I gotta go too.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm glad you're
Watch
here.
your step. Stay away from lines. Watch your step. Stay away from lines. Watch your step. Stay away from lines.
Oh no.
Watch your step. Phase 2. Watch your step. Stay away from lines. Watch your step. Stay away from lines. Watch your step. Stay away from lines. Watch your step. Phase 3. Watch your step. Run. Keep moving.
Jesus.
Stay away from lines. Watch your step.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, I can't whip him, but
Right.
you know,
Stay away
I
from
can
lines.
get it. If we get him in a straight line, I can do as best as I can with that.
Watch your step. Stay away from lines. Run out.
I gotta get one, don't worry. So I'm assuming if you're chain link, don't fucking run.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
AOE incoming. Stack. Watch your step. AOE incoming.
Four, 3, 2, 1.
Stay away from lines. AOE incoming. Stack. Watch your step. AOE incoming.
Four, 3, 2, 1.
Nope.
Stay away from lines.
This is first.
AOE incoming. Stack. Watch your step. AOE incoming.
Four, 3, 2, 1.
Stay away from lines. Watch your step.
My chain, I'm unchained.
AOE incoming.
Four, three, two, one.
Stay away from lines.
You got it, man? Good call.
AOE incoming. Stack.
Not even.
Watch your step.
Oh my god, bro. I got it.
AOE
Good.
incoming.
We're gods.
Four, three, two, one.
Stay away from lines.
We're fucking in sync, dude. We're literally in each other's brains. We don't even need a fucking comm.
AOE incoming.
Jesus fuck.
Watch your step.
This is Van's moment. Show us. Why are our tanks running away? Definitely doable.
AOE incoming.
It's just a skill cap.
Four, three, two, one.
Stay away from lines. AOE incoming.
That's gonna have to be my last attempt, boys. I don't think they have a new. I just use deadly boss mods. Genuinely, it's. What was I gonna do? I was going to have to get a wrist. Okay, before I get my wrist, that's what I was gonna do. I need to get my helm. I know I have a fucking helm in the bank. No, 100%. Bank should be over here. Bank should be right here. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, where's my fucking helm? There you are, biatch. Oh man. I know I have a 272. I know for a fact I have a 272 helm. Oh, there you are. I have a 278. Okay. So that one. Neck or wrists? So I have to get another neck. Right, holy set. Yeah, it looks like that's what I have to do. Another neck. That sucks. I don't want that. I want this guy. I want neck. That one. And then I'm gonna have. I already have the missives. I think neck gets a slot. What gem is that? Motherfucker. Straddling Sage Agate. There you are. Oh. Okay. Damn, my fucking internet's going absolute shit. Yeah, if I would have had this, I think I would have done way more healing, but alas, I did not. So I did not. I don't know how I have so little fucking. It's baffling me. Okay. So now I need to set myself up. Not gonna be having haste first. If they have this one, that would be my. I don't know if I need. Maybe 38%. Mastery. I should be able to get more mastery than that, low key. I should be able to get more mastery than that. I'll get soul treads released too. Because I'm gonna be having these on my. Crit first crit. Oh yeah. I know, babe. Well, I mean, I remember I took a nap. I'm not really tired, but I did take a fat nap already. So I was raiding, and now I'm like, I need to go to bed. Yeah, I think that's. I like that though. That's nice. I know I have to have a fucking item I would rather have in my maybe chest. Haste crit. Is that what I did? I think that's what I did. Chest. Yeah, I think that was what I did. That should be better. Like worst case scenario, if I did that. I mean, no, overall, that wasn't like the 2% of my healing. Not that good. I'd have something that procs like crazy. So this is gonna be my raid set. Okay, that's good. A little verse, never hurt anybody, I guess. I don't think I have a fucking wrist that's about to not do it. Verse mastery, and that's 278, bro. Say less. I'll do that. So even I think this one's for haste verse. Haste mastery. That one's mastery haste. So it's mastery verse leech. I don't really do a lot of damage or DPS, so probably not looking for that. East mastery. That's mastery already. Less mastery, not good. Wait a minute. Did think about this. That's a 278. Then my chest 272. Swap that over. Oh, probably not the right one. What's my other one? This one. This one's the one with 30 haste. And then if I have this haste, so it's not really good. I mean, that's more crit, I guess. $277. That's without a Soleil's. Probably not. I'll probably end up just going back and using this stuff. So I have 50%. I should do it now. I don't know. It's just less burst, so it's probably better. I can't imagine it's not. Yeah, whatever. I'll just do this. Need to go and some quick transmogging. I think some shapes. Chaos, shapes. No, it's not. It's definitely not shapes. I'm about to go to bed, Jay. I know. New season started I need to start doing stuff. I hate it. But I'm having fun. So now I just have for fact I have all my shit here. The rings, one ring here, one ring there. Bro, what the fuck? I literally have. Why is that not saved? Ace mastery, not that. I need my. Where's my cloak? Oh, where is my cloak? I'm gonna be in my bank. Where's my cloak? Just first. Did I have a really good one? I think I just had this one. My 278 one. Yeah. Lights. Fucking is that? Oh, am I? No, that's bad. What did this? I probably goddamn just did that. want like any fucking mastery. Got one there. I probably shouldn't have two. That's probably bad for me, even if it gives me 10% leech. Four extra. That's fucking 11 stam. Fuck, bro, that's a good one. I think I might have fucked up, but I think, yeah, that's what I did. I know what I did. I know exactly what I did. So, east. Master first. Does it get the prismatic? It does. So I'll probably end up doing first. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. I have four of them. I'm pretty sure I don't want the chest. I think I have other ones, but I'm pretty sure I don't want the chest. I hate this cinematic, it's so annoying. Okay, so that's going on. I know it's weird. Why does it seem like I have such high fucking mastery? Literally just got rid of 77 mastery. This is bothering me. I don't know what was going on with my fucking gear, but it's being weird. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, bro, I'm so tired by doing this. Please stop. I just want to get this gear so I can do mythics tomorrow. I don't want to look like ass while doing it. There's something I'm missing, bro. Absolutely, there's something I'm missing. I need the haste dagger. I swear I had it, but I don't. Obviously, I don't. If I had it, I would put it on, but I don't have it, so I can't put it on. is right here. '27, 27. Crit's not bad. Haste and mastery is what it can be. Only having shoulders, legs, and feet. So, like, in theory, this would be the other one I have, which looks better. Have decent crit. Where are my feet? This is the one that I had for a while. Yeah, I'll just take it. I don't care about it. I think that's fine. What now? Okay, that's gonna be changing those out. Okay. So everything should be done. That's my mythics. That's my raid. Oh. What's missing, bro? Is it because it's the same item? Wait, why does it do that? Okay. Okay, last thing I need to do is get me my enchant for my rest. I'm going to bed. That here was pretty fun tonight, I'll be honest. I'm going to bed. Good night, guys. Babe, I love you. I hope you have an amazing day tomorrow. And I don't know if I'll be able to see you tomorrow. I think you're busy. But either way, I love you so much. And I hope you have a great day. JJ, love you too. Can't wait to see you soon. Okay? We're going to have a good time. You're going to be with us. It's going to be amazing. Everything's going to be fun. Okay.